United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is charged with conducting hearings to determine whether an alleged violation of the city code has occurred. Decisions made by this quasi-judicial board will be based on the evidence and facts presented tonight. Our meetings are conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, and each case will begin with the city presenting its evidence of the alleged violation. The respondent will then present his or her case. Both parties will have an opportunity to cross-examine all witnesses. The board members may question any witness. Comments by both parties must be relevant to this case or to their case. Persons wishing to speak will be given an opportunity to do so by the chairman and must address the board from the podium after giving their name and address. Upon request, copies of materials submitted by staff are available for review. Board members are reminded to obtain permission to speak from the chair, and questions of the city should be directed to the attorney for the city. At this time, I'd like to ask all persons who expect to give testimony tonight to please stand and be sworn in by the city clerk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. On occasion, we do take cases out of order depending on who is in the audience, and tonight we will be taking our third case, 210066, as our second case. And then 205154, our first case, will be our first case. All right, before we get started, we just address the ex parte communication. Now ask each member of the board if they've had any ex parte communications with anyone regarding any of the matters that are coming before us this evening. Is that better? Okay. If you've had any verbal ex parte communication, please disclose when and where and with whom the communications occurred, as well as the sum and substance of those communications. If you receive written ex parte communications, please disclose the form of the written communication, who sent you the communications, and the sum and substance of those communications. We'll start with you, sir.
I have not.
I've had none.
I've none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
Thank you. And okay, we'll get started. First case.
Case number 20-5154, City versus Michael and Lee Ann Chiaramonte for the property located at 507 Girard Drive. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 8-102-13H, windows and exterior doors, maintain in good repair. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Code Compliance Director Tom Baroni. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were both properly served.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance. This case this evening originated proactively on October 26, 2020. My inspection that day noted a 4x5 sheet of plywood attached to the front wall covering a damaged window. That same day, I left a door hanger with a compliance date of December 23, 2020. On December 20, 2020, I did receive a phone call from a female owner stating that the new custom window that was delivered was damaged. My reinspection on February 6, 2021 noted no change. Therefore, a notice of violation was prepared on with a compliance date of February 8th. Was prepared on February 8th, 2021, with a compliance date of February 20th, 2021. Since there was no answer at the front door, I posted the notice at the front door and requested copies to be sent certified in first-class mail. I also requested a copy to be posted at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. On February 15, 2021, I received a phone call from the contractor confirming that the window would be installed the following week. My inspection on March 16, 2021 noted no change. Therefore, this case violation was sent to the clerk's office so this could be presented for tonight's hearing. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence that was taken by me on February 8th and March 18th. Exhibit number 1 shows the front door posting of the NOV. Exhibit number 2 notes the plywood covering the front window. I'd like to submit at this time.
Thank you. We'll accept those. Any questions for the code officer?
The property remains out of compliance.
Thank you.
I think there's a representative here tonight.
Any questions for the code officer? Seeing none, you have a seat. Is the respondent here? Yeah, come on up, state your name and address for the record.
Michael Tremonti, the owner of 507 Gerard Drive.
The floor is yours, sir.
The house is definitely well maintained and taken care of. This was a custom window that was ordered back in July, and have the contractor here to explain to you, why it's taken so long, but I believe because of COVID and a lot of other issues, it just hasn't been completed yet. But the house definitely is well maintained. Otherwise, it was just this issue of leaking and flooding. We needed to have it repaired, so I was gonna have
Did you
the
order
contractor.
You ordered the window in July of 2020?
Yeah, July of 2020.
Okay.
Well, that's when we signed the contract. That's what I have. I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly the date.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Any questions for the respondent?
So when do you think you might have the repair work done? Do
I
you
have the
have
contractor here. I guess the window is here. He's backed up on his ordering to find somebody to install it.
Okay.
And there's a letter here we have from the company that says that the window was damaged when it was first shipped, and then due to COVID and labor problems, they're back ordered.
Okay, so do I
From the window
understand that
company.
you do have the window?
Yes.
And you're just waiting for them to free up a
That's
crew
right.
to
Yes.
install it?
Yep.
Maybe he could come up and give us some idea when that might happen.
Okay.
The window,
State your name and address for the record, please.
my name's Todd Arndt, I'm with 2504 Silver Moss Drive. The window came in last Wednesday, Thursday is when it came in. It's actually came in once before, but it came in damaged in first part of January. So they had to remake it, and all the window manufacturers are 2.5, 3 months out. Like, that's just how it is in the construction industry. That's why I made Simonton write you guys a letter stating when the window was ordered, stating when it came in the first time, and stating when it was going to be coming in the second time, which it just came in last week, and it was a week and a half past the last time they told me it was going to come in. So it's kind of messed us all up, not just in that side, but in the construction
Yeah,
industry
I
alone. We've
understand.
had that same issue.
When do you think you'll have a crew available to install it? I mean, we're talking about a date, 1 day install, I assume, right?
Well, putting the window in is probably only 1 day, but they're gonna have to reframe everything because it's completely rotted.
Okay, so 2
And then we have to come in and re-stucco everything over the top.
Okay, so when do you think that process may start?
I've already asked my window installer, Brandon Glass, to let me know when he can do it. He told me he was 2 weeks out, and this was the day that it came in last Wednesday or Thursday. So he said he was 2 weeks out, and he would get it installed within 2 weeks.
Okay, so by our next hearing, it should be fine.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? You can have a seat, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd ask the board for a motion.
All right, I'll do one. I'll do the first one. In case number 20-5154, I move that the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 507 Gerard Drive. Violation is Section 8-102, subsection 13, subsection H. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, or Director Tom Baroni, along with other witnesses, including Mr. Sharamonte and Mr. Arndt, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that said violations be corrected on or before May 12th. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day the violation continues past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator, I move that the fine be $25 per day.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Apologies.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So what that means, sir, is you have until May 12th to get the window installed and get it all fixed. If it's not fixed, technically, a fine of $25 per day will start thereafter. However, if you run into additional problems with labor or the stucco crew or whatever, make sure you get on the phone with Tom Baroni. and you may have to come back in front of us to request an extension, okay? And again, no guarantees that you'll get the extension, but that's the process, okay? But hopefully, everything goes well, and by the 12th, you'll have it all done, and good luck. Thank you. Next case, please.
Case number 210066, City versus Safe Haven Property Investors for the property located at 314 Springdale Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 828A1 permits application required. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Code Compliance Officer Jose Silva. City has evidence of the notice of violation and the notice of hearing were both properly served.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. January 6, 2021, was contacted by Community Development requesting a notice violation to be completed reference to stop work orders at the residence. At this time, completed a notice of violation with a compliance date of January 16, 2021. The home was not occupied, so I posted the notice of the home as well as City Hall, and also mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the regular owner. On January 11, 2021, Mr. Dent contacted Code and spoke to Director Baroni and was given additional time. On March 12, 2021, I met with Community Development, ascertained the permits had not been completely pulled. This time, I'd like to submit copies of the stop work order and the photograph, and stop work order and the notice posted at the resident's front door.
We'll accept those, thank you.
Today, I did meet with Community Development, met with Stacy. She advised the permit for the renovation was processed on December 21st, 2020, and was approved but has not been paid, and there's still 3 outstanding stop work orders for plumbing, mechanical, and electrical that have not been pulled for the residents.
Okay, just to clarify, so one permit has been approved but not paid for,
Not been paid for.
and then there's 3 other permits that have not been applied for.
Correct, sir.
Okay,
And the permit that's been applied for but not paid for has a balance of $842.88, which is on the stop work orders there.
okay, thank you. Any additional questions for the code officer? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is the respondent here? I am. Come on up, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Willie Dent. I'm the owner of the property, and I'm appearing as attorney of record in good standing with the Florida Bar. I'm a licensed attorney. I do have one question before I proceed. There was stated there were 3 permits, plumbing, electrical, and he said something else, and I didn't hear it. Mechanical. Well, I haven't been notified about those. I do know about the electrical. I was told plumbing is suggested or recommended because it's old plumbing and it's not a demand, so that's not in the notice that I have. And mechanical, I really don't know what that is. So I don't have notice of those 3. I only have notice of electrical because I met with Mr., I don't want to mispronounce his name. Yeah, Amir. And we went through the house. No work was ever done. When I got the stop work order, I obeyed it. We had started demolition, but we did not do one piece of work. There was a dumpster we had gotten from Temple Terrace sitting outside the house, and we started, the plan was to change the floor, which is old carpet, and put down tile, and change the tile in the bathrooms because they were like pink and yellow. So we were gonna update that. That was the intent, and to move into the house because we have to sell the house we're in now. When we got the stop work order, we have complied. I called and had someone come and see what was going on inside. And that's when I was told by, the first person I met with was a lady, Cheryl Bennett. She came in, we went through everything. And that's when she saw this wire in one of the bathrooms, and she said, that is not proper. You will have to have a contract, a person with a permit, an electrical person with a permit to change this particular wire. She looked at the plumbing and she said, it's old, you may want to consider it because you don't want to put all this work into this house and then, you know, you have plumbing, you have to come forward. The reason I got the stop work order was there is an ordinance that says if you're doing work more than $1,000, you have to pull a permit. I didn't know about it, but excuse of the law is no excuse. And that's why I was told I needed this order. Well, it's been Harry trying to find an electrician that will come in and change a wire. They're just so backed up. No one wants to come for one type of work. But I did the other steps in terms of, you know, applying for the permit, thinking this was going to just go like bread and butter. Well, that's not the way it happens. I totally disagree with the plumbing and the mechanical. And based on that, I haven't been given any notice about that. I would like to see that in writing, where I am required to do plumbing and mechanical. That has never been given to me in writing. Only the electrical, which has been given to me in verbal. And I agree with that. I want the electrical right. I also agree, excuse me, and my husband and I have discussed the possibility, and I've gotten quotes, on doing the plumbing because that makes sense. It's old plumbing. We really should consider it now that we've torn, you know, the walls and stuff down to redo it. That would make sense to do it now. And we truly are considering that. The last thing I would say is the ordinance that was quoted is section 828 on permits. And it says specifically that we shall first make application to the department and obtain for required permits for work. I totally agree with that. But in the narrative, it says the reason they're doing this is because we're continuing, our work is occurring. No work is occurring. It is exactly the way it was from December 6th when they put that stop work order. And if Mrs. Bennett was here or even Ahmad, he could tell you he's been in the house. No work done. We haven't like torn something down and replaced it. We're just in a torn down state. It's not it's no physical or it doesn't look bad because all of it is inside. We keep up the front of the house and the yard and all of that. So it's nothing like an eyesore you can't see. The only reason they know it's because you open the door and you go inside. So that's our position. We're not, we haven't violated any ordinance. We truly understand that before we can drive a nail into a board, we have to have a permit. I also know that we have incurred a violation penalty. That's why it's $800. The normal permit is $400 and change. And the violation is additional $400 and change. I understand that. But again, until we can start the work and complete it, we're not doing work. And this says, I am here because we are doing work, because work is occurring. That is not the case. And also, I have nothing in writing about about plumbing or mechanical. So I don't think the board should even consider that until they're truly given evidence of the same. Counselor.
You look like you have something to say. Okay. Okay. Okay, you're fine. If you don't have anything to say, it just looked like you did. So let me ask you a question, ma'am.
Yes.
What's your plan?
To try to get not only time, but COVID and a lot of things happen. I think we found someone to do that one electrical job. The other thing is the final decision, which also has to do with finances, of whether or not we're going to change the plumbing. But today is the first I heard of mandatory plumbing or mandatory mechanical. I do not have that. That has not been presented to me in writing. And before I can say anything to you, You have to know if that is something I'm required to do. This is the first I've heard of this. So it changes a lot of things. I would like, he gave the testimony, I would like to see the record that shows we are required to do those, because that totally changed the picture of what we are gonna do and how we're gonna have to do it. And if we're required to go by what he says, that means anybody who's doing work, you're forced to do something or get a permit, and you're not even ready to do the work. Or you don't have who you need to get the work done.
Understood, thank you.
And those have limitations on them too.
You had a question?
I had a couple questions, yeah. So
Yes, sir.
as far as the plumbing work, was there any demolition work done that
No,
would,
sir. Not one.
that would lead the inspectors to say you're gonna do some plumbing work?
Well, see, an example, the bathroom. You open the wall and you can see the pipes. It was a suggestion, again, not a requirement,
So-
because there's nothing to show leaking.
So some of the demolition work you did prior was expose some plumbing and it was just a suggestion?
The demolition we did, we came in, we pull up the tile, it was carpet, practically every room. We began to take out the tile in the bathrooms, and that's where they could see the pipes.
Right.
And the pipes are old, because they are probably original pipes. Even though when we bought this house, a bathroom had been added, but they hadn't changed all the plumbing. It's some signs to show they did re-plumb, I think maybe the cold water, but I don't know how many years ago that was.
So as far as the electrical repair, that's the work, that's the permit you've already applied for or put an application?
Actually,
The general building permit is what's
yeah,
applied.
okay.
owner's renovation permit is what I applied for and was approved of.
It was, yeah, but you haven't paid.
Part of the violation was you haven't paid for that, is that?
Yeah, she hasn't paid for the original or because she started some work without having the permit paid for, it doubles the permit basically. So she has to pay, in order to get started back on the work, she has to pay for that permit. And then.
And that's the operative phrase, to get started on the work. We're not doing work. This says for work occurring. We are not doing work, and I want the record to reflect that.
Okay.
We have not been in that house doing anything.
If we could we get some sort of clarification on what you're seeking tonight?
Yeah, that's where I'm confused.
Yeah. Tom? Jose, rather? If you wouldn't mind coming up. Have a seat, ma'am, thank you.
Based on the stop work orders I provided you, that's the information I go by with the Natalie, and I verify with community development that those permits, I'm asking for a finding.
A finding on all 4 permits as separate violations, or just one violation because of the general building permit?
You know, if they get one, if you do it as a basket, they bring one in compliance, it wipes everything out,
Okay.
so, on each one.
Okay,
So, I'm still confused.
yeah. It looks like our council is confused as well. Have a seat, man, we'll call you back up.
In light of the fact that I think there's a little bit of confusion with the permits, I think that this might be better off to be continued before we have any findings, so that we know exactly what permits. I don't think we have any life safety issues. So if we can maybe continue this for a month, and in that time, hopefully we can have Amir or somebody work with Ms. Dent. She understands better, so that she knows what, if there has been work that has been done that, must have triggered the permit. But I think she needs to have a better understanding what is up. She's
Understood,
applying.
but I want to make sure, I just want to get, is it true that we're not dealing with any life safety issues that you're aware of?
The house is vacant.
House is vacant, okay, all right. So the suggestion by the city has been that we postpone this for a month in order to let everybody get their ducks in a row. And at this time, I would entertain a motion. I'm sorry, okay, come on up.
My question is, or would you put it in the motion that they actually meet with me and show me these requirements that have been placed in the record today that
They'll
I
do
have.
that, you just call down there and meet with them.
I've never had any kind of notice on anything like
If you
that.
call down and ask for a meeting, they'll meet with you. At this time, I'm entertaining a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'm
Thank
guessing
you.
it's just gonna be kind of like a generic one, not based on anything. I'll motion that we table this item.
Yeah, case number and all that
Okay.
stuff.
In case number 21-0066, City vs. Safe Haven Property Investments LLC. Property located at 314 Springdale Place. The violation is section 8-28, subsection A, subsection 1, permit application required. I'll motion that we table this item until next month so that we can have a discussion amongst the city and the owner about what's expected.
Date certain, please.
Sorry?
Date certain.
Sure. Date certain would be next month, May 12th.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Okay, no nays, motion carries. So you have until May 12th to kind of get this all worked out with the city. If it isn't worked out by May 12th, we'll see you again. Okay? Thank you. Next case, please.
Okay, we are gonna move on to the lien reductions.
Okay?
Take the second one first. Case number 203740, City versus Mark Rodriguez.
Okay?
We're good? We're good?
Yep, we're good. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Whenever you're ready, Tom.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. At this time, I'd like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 20-3740, City versus Mark Rodriguez, property located at 315 Brentwood Drive with a lien amount of $525. This case originated back on August 8, 2020, by a neighbor's complaint for an accessory structure that required a building permit. The permit violation was presented at the November 12, 2020 Code Board by me and was brought into compliance on December 31st, 2020, with a $25 per day fine. With 7 inspections by code staff, which totals $283, and the clerk's cost of $100, totaling $383. Based on the code violation and the petitioner's request, my recommendation to the Code Board this evening is to reduce the lien from $525 to $200. I came to this conclusion by the owner's application. There's a financial hardship, and also because of the pandemic, they had some difficulty times getting the proper paperwork.
Okay.
So in the 2 years that the owners have lived there, they've only had 2 cases at this property. So that would be my recommendation,
Thank you.
okay?
Any additional questions for the code officer? Is the respondent here? Is there anything you'd like to add? Please state your name and address for the record before you begin. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. It's Mark Rodriguez, 315 Brentwood Drive. No, I think that was a pretty good, looking for my phone with the notes, but anyway, I think that was a good summary. I just wanted to add that after we were here in November and we were given that extension, we were in constant communication with the person who was going to install the roof and the screen room for us, and we kept on telling him we need the the drawings and the plans by December 9th. We need it by December 9th, and he kept on telling me, okay. And then December 9th rolled around and he said, oh, the guy can't do the drawings yet. He's short-staffed because of COVID. And then we ended up getting the drawings and the plans, I believe, by the 16th or the 17th, and that's when we kind of submitted everything. We submitted like a partial application on the 9th just to kind of show that we were trying to do something. So, and yeah, that's basically what happened.
Questions?
Yeah, so, did you miss there was a meeting, we had a code board meeting on the 9th. Did you attend that and?
Which one? I'm sorry.
The December 9th, there was a code board meeting here. It had been around the time that you guys were, you know,
I don't think we were asked to attend that one.
okay, because that would normally be the time if they needed an extension or if there was some extenuating circumstances, so, okay. And
I just wanted to add that just the pandemic has added timeline difficulties for everyone, and we did in our best faith to get this resolved, but as my husband said, it just didn't happen, and we're still in a pandemic, as you can see. So, that's kind of where we wanna state that this is not because we didn't do our due diligence to get this resolved, but it's life and a pandemic that everybody's dealing with.
Any additional questions?
yeah, I had one other question. I noticed in your application here, you also mentioned that you're requesting that the fine assessed be, that the time period be reduced from December to December 10th through 17th. Is that's what I'm reading? Is that correct?
Well, at least, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be pretty consistent with what the code director is saying, so that, right? 8 days roughly, $25 a day, $200, so. Just checking to make sure you're kind of,
Yeah.
you're kind of okay with where we're going here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, you may have a seat. Thank you.
thanks.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. I'll do it. In case number 20-3740, for property located at 315 Brentwood Drive, upon hearing the facts and argument from the city and the property owner, I hereby move that the board recommend to the city council that the lien be reduced from $525 to $200 contingent upon the lien being paid within 30 days of the council decision, or it would revert to the original amount of $525, and the city is authorized to enforce the fine in accordance with the law.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. Okay, so, just so you understand, what just happened is we will be making a suggestion to city council. City council makes the final decision as to whether or not to accept that decision. I don't know which meeting I don't think it probably won't be the next meeting, but it'll be on the May 4th agenda. And then if they approve the reduction, you will have 30 days from May 4th to pay that, otherwise it reverts back. Okay? Thank you. But I would suggest you try to, at least one of you try to make that meeting so you can hear what happens. Okay? Next case, please.
Okay, next case. We will go back to hearings to case number 210179, City versus Christopher Lawrence and Thomas Power for the property located at 508 Herschel Drive. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 1034 sanitation, keep premises clean, and Section 8-102-13B exterior walls maintained in good repair. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Code Compliance Director Tom Baroni. City has evidence that notice of violation and notice of hearing are both properly served.
Hey, just a quick question, just so I understand.
Sure.
Is there a reason why we're skipping 5942?
They are not here.
Okay, so
This one, the respondents here.
okay, very good.
Tom Baroni,
sure.
Code Compliance. This case this evening originated from an online complaint that code staff received on January 7th, 2021. My inspection on that same day noted a mattress placed at the curbside, a cluttered carport, and the front exterior wall stained. I left 3 door hangers with the reinspection date of January 12th, 2021. On my reinspection, the mattress was removed, but the carport and the exterior wall had no change. That same day, I prepared a notice of violation with the compliance date of January 21st, 2021. The next morning, the notice of violation was hand-delivered by Officer Silva to the homeowner, Mr. Power. On the 22nd of January, I received a phone call from Mr. Power stating that he was dealing with some family issues, and due to the pandemic, he had lost his job. When I returned on January 27th, I noticed that nothing changed. Therefore, I filed the necessary paperwork so this could be presented at the MCB hearing. Mr. Power called me at the end of January, excuse me, stating that a family member had passed away. The case was then pulled from the February 10th agenda. I also gave the Power family an additional month to grieve their loss and family member. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence of the violation that was taken by me on January 27, 2021. Exhibit number 1 shows a cluttered carport. Exhibit number 2 shows a stained exterior wall. Both of those were taken on January 27th, and 3 and 4 exhibits were taken on March 16th, which notes the carport is still cluttered. I'd like to submit at this time.
We'll accept those. Thank you. Where does the property stand today?
I'm sorry?
Where does the property stand?
Okay, so as of today's date, the stained wall was cleaned. However, the carport remains out of compliance, which at this time I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance for the stained wall. I believe it's with you guys already.
Which one, is that 1034?
That would be the 1034, yes.
The 1034 is in,
I'm sorry, that's due to keep premise clean, so no, the stained wall is gonna be,
It's the affidavit of,
yeah, what's the,
8102? Exterior walls?
in bold letters?
8102, 8102 13B.
Yes,
Okay, so that one's in compliance.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay?
Any other questions for the code officer? Go ahead.
has there been any progress made as far as cleaning up the carport areas?
The inspection this morning at 9 o'clock revealed there was some cleanup to it, but it's not to my satisfaction. But Mr. Power is here, Mr. Power is here tonight. He did call me at 4 o'clock this afternoon to say that he was working on it and that he wasn't able to make tonight's meeting. I was gonna ask the board for a 30-day extension, but Mr. Power is here this evening and he could state what he is requesting.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other questions for the code officer? Thank you, Tom. Sir?
Sir?
Before you begin, state your name and address for the record when you get up. No, wait till you get to the podium.
My name's Lawrence.
Wait till you get all the way up. You gotta hear you on the mic. Thank you.
My name is Lawrence Power, and I live at 508 Herschel Drive, Temple Terrace, Florida, 33617.
Thank you.
Okay, actually, I spent the whole day out there cleaning the carport, so it's cleaned. It got that way because I use it as an address. I really don't stay there. There's somebody there with some mental issues, and my brother, Chris, who passed away, was living there. He was a disabled vet, and I didn't even know a lot of this stuff was going on. So when he passed away at the beginning of February, I kind of went in there. I guess the last case that was supposed to come in didn't have my name on it. So that's why it was rescheduled to today, because they just had it to Chris and Thomas. Now Chris is gone and it's just me and Thomas. Thomas lives in New York, haven't seen him in 45 years. But so I'm there and I'm working on it and I'm fixing it up. And that's where I'm at. But as of today, I spent the whole entire day out there cleaning the carport, so it's cleaned.
Okay.
That's it?
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, I'll accept a motion.
So from our perspective, it's still out of compliance. I mean,
Right, until they make until the reinspection occurs, so that's where we're at.
all right.
Go ahead.
You want to?
No, somebody.
Go for it.
All right. Get the right sheet here. In case number 21-1079, I move that the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace Code exist on the property located at 508 Herschel Drive. I guess I need to list both code violations here, and then they'll, yeah, okay. So we'll say section 10-34 and section 10-102 13
Section 8-102.
8-102, subsection 13, subsection B. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from Code Compliance Director Tom Baroni and Mr. Power, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and a notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that no fine be imposed on the violations of the code section 8-102, subsection 13, subsection B, because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing. I further move that the remaining violations be corrected on or before May 12th. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they're ordered to pay a fine for each and every day the violation continues past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator, I move that the fine be $25 per day.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. So, sir, right now, a motion has passed that you are right now in violation. You have until May 12th to bring it out of violation, otherwise a $25 per day fine starts. But if it's as you said, then you don't have anything to worry about. Okay? Thank you. Next case, please. Okay.
Jasmine Lane and Daryl Lane, and Director Tom Baroni will present.
Thank you.
Tom Baroni, Code Compliance. At this time, I'd like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 062026, City versus Darrell and Jasmine Lane, property located at 7907 Shore Bluff Court, with a lien amount of $10,450. This property was presented to the Code Board back in January 10th, 2007, for 4 violations: inoperative vehicle, overgrown conditions, unclean swimming pool, and a fence that was in disrepair. At that hearing that evening, the board found the respondent guilty with a $50 per day fine that accumulated a lien amount of $10,450, and it came into compliance on September 12th, 2007. With 20 inspections by code staff totaling $715 and a clerk's cost of $130, totaling $845. My recommendation to the board this evening is to reduce the lien amount from $10,450 to $845 to cover the city cost. If I was to go by the 10%, that would be $1,045. This property, since 2007, has had 19 code violations since 2007. Any questions for me?
Sorry. Get your
Go ahead.
approval first. So 19 additional violations since 2007?
That's correct.
In addition to this one that the lien reduction is
That's
for?
correct.
Any additional questions for the code officer? Thank you, sir.
Okay,
I understand the respondent is here.
yes.
State your name and address for the record before you begin, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jasmine Lane, and I'm the owner of 7907 Shore Bluff Court.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yes, at the time of these violations, well, basically, the property was gifted to 5 siblings. My mother passed away at the tender age of 42, and all 5 of those siblings were unprepared for that death. The following year, our father passed away. So not only were we unprepared for the loss of our parents, but also home ownership. Now, we continued and pursued on, and all 5 of the siblings finished high school and went on to pursue regular life. Just one sibling remained and lived there in the home. So one was in Orlando, the other was in Las Vegas at school, the other one was in Southern Florida, and then me, I was in Seffner, that area, so I did not live at the house. So by the time I found out anything about any violations whatsoever, it was already seeming like an insurmountable position. So I came, and then my other sister, who was able to be at a meeting. She flew in from Las Vegas from school, and we just presented that this was our first time hearing about it, as we would immediately fix whatever was necessary, and brought it out of that, from that first initial violation. And so I took responsibility for that as one of the older siblings, and the other children were removed from, their names were removed from the ownership. I just took full responsibility of it to bring the house back into code, and that resolved that issue. The other issues that happened throughout the years, well, we were left with, the only person that was kind of there for us was our elderly grandmother. And so none of the siblings lived there. So she lived there, and my mother kind of was responsible for her. So once she didn't live at her home, she was able to just live at our home. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to maintain it, and she does not even live there now because she can't care for herself. So at this point, we just want to sell the home so that we don't incur any other issues, so that, you know, we can kind of say goodbye and close this chapter.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I did actually want to ask her a question. Sorry to ask you to come up. I just wanted to know if you discussed the resolution that was proposed for $1,045, if you found that acceptable, or if you, where you stood with that.
I mean, my initial request was to just get it to zero if that was possible, and that's what the preference would be. But I'm honestly just grateful for lowering that amount so that we can kind of part from the property and all of these additional issues.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to add, I think the city was asking just to recover their costs of
Yeah, the recommend-
$845.
$845.
Recommendation was $845. If the $1,045 would have been if they, the 10%.
Okay, so the total amount would just be to cover the cost of
$845.
everyone
Well,
coming
the
out?
motion hasn't been made yet,
Oh, okay.
but we'll see.
Okay, well, yeah, that's,
Thank
that's
you. You may
fair
have a
and
seat.
understandable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I can make the motion on that.
Thank you.
In case number 06-2026, City Bridge Jasmine Lane and Darrell Lane, property located at 7907 Shore Bluff Court. Upon hearing the facts and arguments from the city and the property owner, I hereby move the board recommend to City Council that the lien be reduced from, I'm sorry, Tom, I don't know. $10,450 to $845, contingent upon the lien being paid within 30 days of the council's decision, or revert to the original amount of $10,450, and the city is authorized to enforce the fine in accordance with the law.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries. So, ma'am, what happens next is this recommendation will go to the city council when they meet in May?
This one's going on April 20th.
April, okay.
Next Tuesday.
Okay, so next Tuesday, it'll be heard by council. Should they accept it, you'll have 30 days from that meeting to pay the recommended fine tonight. And if not, it goes back to the original amount. Okay? So you may want to attend that meeting, which is next Tuesday. Next case, please.
Yes. We will go ahead and take the other lien reduction.
Okay?
Case number 203668, City versus DeVore Rivkin, and Director Brony will present.
Thank you. Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. At this time, I'd like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 20-3668, City versus DeVore Rivkin, property located at 12912 North 53rd Street with a lien amount of $1,000. This case originated back in August of 2020 for duty to keep premise clean and a room addition that required a building permit. These two violations were presented by Officer Smith at the October 14, 2020 MCB hearing. Respondent's father did, however, request an extension at the November 2020 Code Board hearing and was granted for the extension. The property was brought into compliance on January 19th, 2021, with 9 inspections by code staff, which totals $350, and the clerk's cost of $100, totaling $450. The respondent was fined $350 for the stop work order that they were required to pay. So based on the violations presented to the code board hearing, the lien reduction application, my recommendation tonight is to reduce the lien amount from $1,000 to $400. So when you fail to get a permit, they can issue a stop work order, and in that stop work order, they can fine you $350, which they will fine $350.
They were fine, and they did.
And they paid it.
They paid it.
Yes,
So you're recommending that the lien amount of 1,000 be reduced to 400?
yes.
Thank you.
And also that this property has had 22 code violations since January of 2019. Any questions?
I don't see any.
Sir?
Thank you, Tom.
Good evening, everyone. The
Name and address for the record, please.
12912 North 53rd Street, Rifkin, by Rifkin. We had a patio there, which was in need of repair. It was hit by a branch, and then we started to repair it. We didn't realize that you needed to have a permit and a blueprint for it. So when we were informed of that, so we did go ahead and start the process of getting the permit and the blueprint. But in order to get the permit, you had to have sealed blueprints. Then you had the whole situation with COVID, and Mr. Lewis, forgot his name, Rodriguez, wasn't able to get it done in time. So I came and asked for another extension, which was granted, and they told me the next month I should come back. And someone told me that it was on the 16th instead of the 13th. I missed the meeting. And then they went ahead and said, okay, they rescheduled, but then they canceled. It was supposed to be in March, I think 13th or 12th. And finally, they rescheduled it to April today. So we would like to, we didn't realize that in order to repair the patio, the covered patio, you had to go ahead and get an actual signed and sealed blueprint. So they were charging us $25 a month, and the $25 a month ended up getting extended because of the whole situation with the COVID. Couldn't get it in time. And so it just ran till now, I guess, or whatever.
Thank you.
So I would like to, we paid the fine. I want the City of Temple Terrace to recover their fees, which it is a cost, but maybe it should be about $200 in fines or whatever.
Any questions?
Thank you.
So,
None, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, you did have a question?
yeah, I think I remember this case. This is the one where you were repairing a patio,
Right.
but then you also wanted to enclose it too, right? That was where the permit,
Patio, but not enclose it.
yeah.
They thought that we wanted to enclose it, but I said, no, we want it just to be a covered patio because of the whole wall had come down, and so we ended up making the blueprints for it. That was it.
Okay, so the permits were required,
We got the permits and everything, and
I'm
They
confused.
ultimately did get the permits, just late.
But what were if it was just repairing a wall that fell, that was,
well,
why would they need permits for that?
This is
I'm not-
This is a room addition, because I went by the property this morning,
Okay,
Uh,
and they're putting a window on the
that's,
side of the addition.
yeah,
So it's not just
that's what I thought. This,
covering of a patio.
no.
it was more than a,
Also by the building official here, he's calling it as a room addition.
But
that was my,
But we
That's
did
my
give it in, not as a room addition, because we're not going to enclose it at all. The only reason why we put in
probably shouldn't open this can.
we have in the blueprints, the calling for a window, and the window repurpose is to have a fan so that it will blow through.
Okay,
So,
got you.
the reason they're here with a lien reduction, because
covered
it
patio.
has been brought into compliance.
Okay,
And we're just here to decide whether or not we will recommend the lien reduction from $1,000 to the recommended amount of $400.
Can I try a motion?
Sure.
In case number 20-3668 for the property located at 12912 North 53rd Street, Temple Terrace, upon hearing the facts and the argument from the city and the property owner, I hereby move by board recommend to City Council that the lien be reduced from $1,000 to $400, contingent upon lien being paid within 30 days of the council decision, or it would revert to the original amount of $1,000, and that the city is authorized to enforce the fine in accordance with the law.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. Okay, so, which meeting will this one be heard at?
5-4.
So on May 4th, this recommendation will be heard by City Council, and they will make the ultimate decision as to whether or not to accept the recommendation. Should they accept the recommendation, you'll have 30 days from that date to pay the fine of $400, otherwise it reverts back to the original amount. Okay? Thank you. Next case, please.
We will go back to hearings. Case number 20-5942, City versus Tarmac America LLC for the property located at 7801 Industrial Lane. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 828A1 permits application required. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Jose Silva. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were both properly served.
Good evening, board members. Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case was originated proactively on December 16, 2020. My inspection at the time noted a driveway being prepared for concrete at the rear of a business with entry onto Enterprise Cove. This time, I delivered a stop work order to the office at the business. Shortly after delivering that stop work order, I was contacted by a representative of the company, Mr. Kistler, and I referred him to contact Director Anisi in Community Development. On January 20, 2021, I checked again with Community Development and ascertained no permit had been issued. At this time, I completed a notice of violation with a compliance date of February 5th, 2021. Posted the notice at the door of the office, also mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the registered owner and agent of the business. On March 19, 2021, I again met with Community Development and ascertained no permit was obtained. This time, I'd like to submit copies of the stop work order, the posting of the notice, and the driveway that was created.
We'll accept those, thank you.
On April 5th, I received an email from Mr. Kistler, the company representative. In that email, he had sent all the drawings and plans for this driveway. I contacted him and spoke with him on phone. I forwarded the email to Director Anisi and directed him to contact Director Anisi. This afternoon, I met with Community Development, and still no permit has been obtained, so I'm asking for a finding.
And just so I understand, these are a little bit different. So you issued a stop work order, and he's not doing anything, right? Is any work being accomplished there?
Is that driveway?
Yeah, but
It continued to,
he continues to work on the driveway?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and he has not, as of your last conversation, there's no permit's been pulled.
As of today, I met with Community Development, no permit was obtained yet.
But the email that you got, did that contain drawing attachments and anything?
It contained all the plan attachments to it, the survey. It was done by an engineer, there was like 6 PDF files attached to that email. I forwarded to Director Anisi.
And what is the stage of this work? Has he poured the concrete?
Excuse me, sir?
Has he poured the concrete for the
It's
driveway?
done.
It's done?
It's done.
Okay.
And it was continued after the stop work order, they
Yeah.
continued
Yes,
with
sir.
the work.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any further questions for the code officer?
Yeah, have you spoken to the owner at all?
I spoke to Mr. Kistler, who is a representative of the company. This is Titan Concrete that's in the industrial park. He is a representative of the company that I spoke to, and each time I directed him to Director Anisi to obtain the permits and so forth.
So they understand they need a permit.
Yes, sir. I've explained that to him twice. And the last email I received on the 5th contained actually the drawings by an engineer for that driveway with all the specs for it, which was sent over to community development.
Okay. What happens if, can they apply for a permit?
Yes, sir.
Still, and the work is done,
Yes, sir. They can apply for after the fact permit.
but are they rejecting that, or are they?
No.
Sounds like they're just sending everything to you.
They've
instead
sent,
of-
the way it stands right now, as I understand it, everything necessary to obtain the permit has been submitted. It's just they haven't got this permit, and they've already done all the work.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions?
I had a question for the city attorney.
Go ahead.
This is a situation where these permits are ones where we have a cap on the amount of the fine. Is that what you've told us before, where we have?
It's business tax, that's a local business tax
Okay,
for the rental housing committee.
okay,
This is not the permits.
okay,
We find them every day.
okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, any further questions? And the respondent is not here, I assume? Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. You want to go? Okay. The floor is yours, sir.
In case number 25942, I move the city has proven by the greater weight of evidence the following violation of the city of Thibodeau Terrace, violation 8-28 A, subsection A, subsection 1, permit application required. For the property located at 7801 Industrial Industrial Lane. And I mentioned the applicable codes of the violation. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the board enforcement officer, along with with any evidence, including photos and affidavits and notice of violation, all which received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I move that the permit will be reviewed and pulled before our next meeting
We
on.
don't know that. We don't, he submitted some information, but we don't know whether or not it will be pulled or not. So we don't know if that the information is satisfactory to obtain a permit.
Okay, if.
So I would suggest that you handle it like any other code violation.
Yes, okay. I further find the applicant must submit an approved permit, and if not by the next date of our meeting, I move to a fine of $25 per day from the date of that meeting.
Okay, and just for clarification, the day of the meeting would be
May 12th.
May 12th. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, just to open it for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I think $25 is a little light, because the fact the person continued with the work after they were told to stop work, and
Twice.
twice. So,
They would have already, they already got the $350 fee for the stop work order, right?
We'll be charged $350 also.
Okay, but they haven't been charged that yet.
Not yet.
Next, they haven't paid, they haven't got a permit.
Right, okay.
Give it a permit.
For the record, I feel similarly
Yeah.
to Bill, that it's a little light. They're a business, they should know better. If they're a cement company, you'd think they're used to pulling permits for stuff all the time, so.
I would certainly agree, but saying it's a little light falls a little short. What's your recommendation?
I was gonna let, if he wanted to amend his,
Amend 50?
Is what, I guess what I'm asking is, you both say a little light, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but what would you recommend he amend it to?
me personally,
Either one of you.
Yeah.
I personally would probably bump it up to $100 a day. It's just me, because
I'd agree, I'd agree with that.
If that's, I would also leave it, and,
Okay, so if you would please amend your motion.
okay, I amend the motion, with the, do I have to,
Just say you amend the motion to include an increase in the fine to $100 per day.
I amend the motion to increase the fine for $100 per day, from the, meeting on May 12th.
Okay, we have a motion, and would you second the amendment? Any further discussion?
I noticed we kind of skipped over a lot of this language. Is that okay, or?
No, the motion was fine.
Okay.
So we have a motion, we have any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. Next case, please.
Next case, case number 20-0473, City versus Robert J. Bays for a property located at 528 Lantern Circle. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12-860, 13B, inoperative vehicle outdoor storage equipment. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Code Compliance Director Tom Baroni. City has evidence and notice of violation and notice of hearing were both properly served.
Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. This case this evening originated proactively on January 28, 2021, when I observed a flat tire on a vehicle's passenger side of the pickup truck, and the registered sticker has an expired tag of January of 2019. A door hanger was left at the front door with a re-inspection date of February 8, 2021. On February 9, 2021, my inspection noted no change. Therefore, a notice of violation was prepared on that same day with a compliance date of February 15, 2021. My reinspection 1 month later noted no change. Therefore, the violation was prepared to be presented at the April MCEB hearing. I would also like to mention that at no time my office or I have received any phone call from the property owner. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violation that was taken by me on February 9th and March 19, 2021. Exhibit number 1 shows the notice letter posted at the front door. Exhibit number 2 and 3 show a flat tire on the vehicle, and the other one, exhibit 3, is the invalid registration. I'd like to submit.
Thank you, we'll accept those.
Let's see, as of today's date, there has been no change, therefore the property remains out of compliance.
Thank you. Any questions for the code officer? Go ahead.
you said you have had no correspondence with the owner
No,
at all?
I haven't heard nothing from him, so, usually he takes care of it, but he's the type of person that puts the air in the tire, and then it's flat, within 2 or 3 weeks later, so.
So the vehicle's been there inoperable for a while, is what you're saying?
January.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you.
I'll do this one.
Thank you.
In case number 21-0473, I move the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the city Temple Terrace City Code exists on the property located at 528 Lantern Circle. Applicable code is 12-860, inoperable vehicle. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. Further move that said violations be corrected on or before May 12th. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day the violation continues past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator, I move the fine be $25 per day.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. Next case, please. There was.
Right.
I believe
Who
Brian.
was it?
Brian?
Okay, we didn't hear it. Okay.
Okay.
Next case is case number 21-0604, City versus Anthony and Jillian Moore for the property located at 941 North River Hills Drive. Cases before the board based on alleged violation of Section 28A1 permits application required and Section 12861E6 fences appearance. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Doug Allen. City has evidence of the notice of violation and notice of hearing were both properly served.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Doug Allen, Code Compliance Officer. This case was originated by me and by Community Development on February 3rd, 2021 for two violations. The first violation observed by me was a fence in need of maintenance, and the violation observed by Community Development was for work without a permit for interior renovation, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. I left two door hangers with a re-inspection date of February 10th, 2021. My re-inspection on February 10th, 2021 showed no change, so notice of violation was prepared on that date with a compliance date of February 25th, 2021. I posted the notice at the site as well as at City Hall, and copies were mailed, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the owner of record. My re-inspection on March 18th showed no change, so a notice of hearing was prepared on that date, and the case was scheduled for the April Municipal Code Board meeting. This time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violation taken by me on February 10th and March 18th, 2021.
We'll accept those. Thank you.
Exhibit number 1 shows the notice of violation posting. Exhibit number 2 shows the fence in need of repair. I have had contact with the property owner's representative, and they are in contact with Community Development to obtain the necessary permits, and the fence has also been cleaned and painted. I am submitting an affidavit of compliance on the fence violation.
That's 12861, correct?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll accept that. Thank you.
So the site is in partial compliance, and I am seeking a ruling on the outstanding violation.
Thank you. Any questions?
And I guess I missed the part. What did you say? What was the status of the permit application?
Apparently, they have been in contact with Community Development, but they haven't submitted the necessary plans yet.
Okay, but they are
Seem to be in the process.
making progress. Okay. Oh, sorry.
And is the work completed already?
To the best of my knowledge, it is, yes, sir.
We're talking, the interior renovations are completed?
I have no idea, sir. I haven't been able to access the inside of the house. House is vacant.
Okay.
I was wondering that how anybody would know that this existed if it's inside the house.
Apparently, the building department was either there or an adjacent property and noticed workmen at the site and went over to see what was going on.
Right. Makes sense.
Any further discussions for the code officer? Or any further questions, rather? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll do this one. Unless, did you want to do one, Mark, or? No. Okay. All right. In case number 21-0604, I move the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 941 North River Hills Drive. Code violations are Section 8-28, subsection A, subsection 1, and 12-861, subsection E, subsection 6. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from Code Enforcement Officer Doug Allen, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that no fine be imposed on the violations of Code Sections 12-861, subsection E, subsection 6. Because the violation was brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing, I further move that the remaining violations be corrected on or before May 12th. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day the violation continues past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors: the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violation committed by the violator, I move the fine be $25 per day.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Did you hear that one? Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries. Next case.
The last case on hearings, case number 21-0760, City versus Folio number 2009 14-0000 for the property located at 130 Oak Hill Drive. Cases before the board based on alleged violation of Section 8, 102, 13B, exterior walls maintained in good repair. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Code Compliance Officer Doug Allen. City has evidence that the notice of hearing and the notice of violation were properly served.
Thank you.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman and board members. Doug Allen, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated by me on February 2nd, 2021 for stained exterior walls. I left a door hanger with a reinspection date of February 15th. A reinspection on February 16th showed no change, so I prepared a notice of violation on that date with a reinspection date of March 9th, 2021. A reinspection on March 18th showed no change, so a notice of hearing was prepared and the case was scheduled for the April Municipal Code Board meeting. This time I'd like to submit photographic evidence taken by me on March 9th and March 18th, showing the posting of the notice of violation and the stained walls.
We'll accept those. Thank you.
As I stated, exhibit number 1 shows the posting of the notice of violation. Number 2 shows the stained walls. The site is now in compliance, and I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance, and I'm seeking the finding.
We'll accept that. Thank you. Any questions for the code officer? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
In case number 21-0760, I move that the city is proven by a greater weight of evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 10030 Oak Hill Drive, and the applicable codes of 8-102 subsection 13 subsection B. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. I believe that finishes the cases, does it not?
We will go to unfinished business now.
Okay?
Case number 24997, City versus Timothy Thibodeau for property located at 113 Glenridge Avenue. An affidavit of non-compliance was submitted by Officer Doug Allen for section 128592 dated March 11th, 2021. Case number 210200, City versus Ibrahim Mustafa for a property located at 10373 Councils Way. Deadline is tonight at midnight. There is partial compliance. An affidavit of compliance has been submitted for sections 1034 and 103B dated April 14th, 2021, and Officer Allen has an update.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman and board members. This case originally had 5 violations. I believe we brought it last month, and I don't know if you remember, but the gentleman that was going to help him had COVID and ended up in the hospital, so there was a bit of a delay. He has gotten most of the exterior wall work repaired, he just hasn't gotten it painted, so that portion of it cannot be brought into compliance yet. And he has contracted with a roofing gentleman and a screen company to fix the rear portions of the roof and the screen that needed to be repaired as well. So I think it would be prudent if we could just give him an extension for another month to get these final repairs completed.
Assume that requires a motion? Okay, I will entertain a motion on case 21-0200.
I'll make it.
Thank you.
In case number 21-0200, I motion that we table the item until the next meeting on May 12th.
I think the proper terminology would be to give the respondent an extension until our next meeting to bring the code violations into compliance.
I would just use extension of the deadline date.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to include the language that we just extend the date to May 12th to come in compliance.
Good. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is case number 210260, City versus Natalie Anderson for the property located at 105 Deer Park Avenue. Deadline for compliance is tonight at midnight. Case number 210321, City versus Ramjet LLC, Desired Image for property located at 13280 North 56th Street. An affidavit of compliance was submitted by Officer Smith, dated March 18th, so that is in compliance.
Very good.
And now we just have Lane's list whenever you want that.
That's fine, we can go.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, liens list review. We have one case in compliance tonight. That's case number 204917, City versus Bajita Marfia Zaman for 108 Oak Ridge, I believe it's Avenue.
Okay.
And that is in compliance. Following are all still out of compliance, which are case numbers 080292, City versus Christopher B. York, 7604 Leon Avenue, case number 152510, City versus Coyley Berry Jr., 114 North 52nd Street, case number 162397, City versus Dudley A. Black, 9408 Hidden Ridge Place, case number 172613, City versus Dudley A. Black, 9408 Hidden Ridge Place. Case number 172746, James Stevens Johnson and Glenda Johnson, 104 Holland Avenue. Case number 194940, Robert and Lisa McNeil, 9406 Hidden Ridge Place. Case number 201531, City versus Vincent and Cynthia Adkins, 5513 Temple Heights Road. Case number 204202, City versus McNatt Family Enterprises, 12904 North 56th Street, and case number 205214, City versus Timothy Thibodeau, 113 Glenridge Avenue. And a Deputy City Attorney, Ernest Mueller, does have an update on one of these lanes, I believe.
Please tell me it's the animal harboring one.
Which one?
The animal one.
4940.
Animal harboring, non-domestic.
Oh, no. Sorry. It is for case number 15-2510. Just letting you know the legal department has been directed by the code board, is moving forward with legal action.
Sorry, say that again?
The city is moving forward with legal action.
Okay, thank you. So, just out of curiosity, what kind of animal are we talking about on 4940? Do we know? Chickens, okay.
But a kangaroo's okay? My neighbor is a kangaroo, and you can't have chickens. That's nuts.
Well, you definitely can't have a kangaroo either.
What? No, they definitely do. It escaped.
All right,
Leave
sorry.
that for another time.
Leave that for
Yeah,
another time. Okay, any other board action? If not, go ahead, you may go first.
Might be following up with what you have. Are you gonna talk about next month?
I'm gonna talk about next month, okay?
I'll follow up.
We have our workshop scheduled for next month. As far as I know, nobody on this board has submitted any questions yet. Let's not wait till the last minute. It's your meeting. Staff needs time to at least review the questions and be prepared to answer it. So let's not wait until, right before the next meeting. If you have questions, let's get them in. The questions, you will not be tagged with the question. It's going to be anonymous, but obviously you have to email it in or drop off your question to be known. But no one but the city clerk will know who the question is from. No question is, I shouldn't say no question, but most questions will be responded to. So please get your questions in because this is your meeting. You guys called for it. So let's make it the best meeting we possibly can.
Ditto.
Sure.
I just want to have a conversation about permits.
Okay.
I just kind of want to explain to the board, every month we get a list from community development for outstanding stop work orders. So a lot of times, 80% of the stop work orders are initiated from community development. And all we know is there's an outstanding permit for electrical, but they don't tell us why. They just say, they'll break and say plumbing, electrical, mechanical, and then they'll give us the next address. So a lot of times you might have questions, we may not have the answers. We're the enforcement part of the permit,
Yeah, but
for them to obtain a
One
permit.
thing that's a little confusing to me is like the stop work orders. If they were supposed to pull a permit and they didn't,
Right.
and you've issued a stop work order, and they have stopped work, they're really, I mean, obviously there's a violation if they started the work, but
Right.
what are we finding them on?
You're finding them for not obtaining a permit.
And-
It really should be, the violation is not the stop work order.
Right.
It's
It's the,
doing work without
it's,
permit.
Right.
So if they don't, if someone gets a stop work order and we find them in violation of not getting the permit, right? And May 12th comes next month and they still haven't got the permit, the fine continues from that day forward, even though they're not doing any work, but because they haven't got the permit, that's what the fine is for.
Yeah, technically, there's really two cures. It's either get the permit or undo.
Undo what you did.
So,
Okay,
in other words,
So-
you're still at the point where there's been work done without a permit.
right. So the choices are bring the property back to where it was before the permit, or before the need for the permit, or get the permit. And again, I suppose there is a circumstance where you could require somebody, or the building department could require somebody, to remove work that has already been done because they can't see it, and they have to be able to inspect it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But also, when they issue a stop work order, it's called after-the-fact permit.
Right.
So that's why they charge them for the $350
Understood.
after the fact.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of times, we're just like the middle people, and if I think in a particular case, I'll request Amir to be here.
He's been here before.
Yes, yeah, and I'll request that he be here. So just want to make sure you understand that a lot of times we don't have the answers as far as permits.
Understood.
Okay?
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your time.
I just wanted to ask.
Hang on a second,
Our
Kristen. Just 1 minute. Go ahead,
Just a
Kristen.
reminder, we have to approve the minutes. I don't think we did.
Oh, you're right, we did not. We will do that right after Rod gets his say.
Just a simple question, but when they submit a general works permit, doesn't it cover all departments, the electrical? No?
Not all, no, because, a general contractor can't do electrical work. General contractor can't do HVAC work, general contractor can't do roof work. So if you get a general building permit, it covers general building items, installing windows, its walls, et cetera. If it's a specialty, if it needs electrician or a plumber, then you also have to get a plumbing permit or electrical permit.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sure.
That's the type of question that would probably be good to come in ahead of time. We could be prepared for to answer with the appropriate people.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll email somebody.
Yeah, email it. Okay, so we do have to approve the minutes. Has everybody received a copy of the minutes from the last meeting? Does anybody have any suggestions to changes or corrections? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. Thank you, Kristen. Anybody else have any old business, new business, or anything else they'd like to discuss before we adjourn? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.